In this narration, I will be explaining how the collaborative team plans to work with the Appoquinimink School District to advocate for the needs of our gifted and talented students. Right now, the goal is to establish a gifted and talented program by spreading awareness of the needs of gifted and talented students and gaining the support of our parents, district office administrators, and one teacher per subject per grade level at every building. The purpose of this committee and the goal is because the Appoquinimink School District maintains that all students have gifts and talents, therefore a separate program is not needed. The district continues to focus on the negatives of specialized programs instead of discussing the benefits and how we can meet the needs of all of our students. The committee's plan is to publish and distribute 400 newsletters and pamphlets with research information about the needs of our gifted and talented students. Information will also be sent out via Friday footnotes and weekly bulletins, which are an online automated system in which all parents have their email addresses recorded. Our plan is to focus on the elementary and middle school levels because the high schools already have AP classes and dual enrollment options in place. So while they don't have a separate program for gifted and talented students, they are actively working towards meeting their needs. The needs, however, are not being met at the elementary and middle school levels. The committee will also be distributing student surveys so that students can have input and voice in the program, and we will be hosting open forum nights once a month for the last 3 months of the 2018-2019 school year so that parents and community members have a safe space to gather information and ask questions. As a leader of the committee, I will actively listen to the opinions and ideas of all parents, students, educators, and administrators so that there is a full and well-rounded side to every opinion. I will remain in continuous contact with all parents and educators that the program would affect so everyone is aware of what is happening, what can be done, and what input they can provide for every decision. As a leader, I will also be a resource teacher to those who want to learn more about the gifted and talented options. I will stay aware of the most up-to-date research, policies, and laws. I will also be aware of teacher certification programs so that those teachers who wish to become certified will have all of their options clearly laid out before them. I will also keep a list of strategies and activities on hand so that those educators who wish to meet the needs of their gifted and talented students while we are in the process of developing the program will have a list of strategies. This will be the first product that the committee develops and passes out to the parents. The inside panel details the Delaware Department of Education's definition of a gifted and talented student so that people can see that it is more than just the quote-unquote smart students who will be serviced by these programs. The back panel would have the myths and misconceptions that many people hold about gifted and talented students, as well as my contact information as I will be the leader of this collaborative team. The inside panel details how the committee will go about planning with our parents. Parents need to know that they have a vital role in the planning and that they are expected to participate and that we need to hear from them in order to have the program suit their needs as well as their students' needs. On the inside, we have our action plan detailed so that there is clear communication between what the committee plans to do and what parents can do to support. The main thing after developing the advisory committee is to develop the identification process. So underneath this diagram of what gifted and talented students with twice exceptional abilities include, I've identified the identification process and that we need to seek out and identify gifted and talented students from a diverse background. I've also given a list of the gifted and talented services so that parents can see that it is more than just a full-time gifted and talented program that needs to be considered. This brochure would be given out at the public forum meetings, followed by a presentation. The presentation is given first so that parents can become aware of what the committee intends to do before questions are available. At the front screen, I want parents and educators to know that the purpose is to bring together stakeholders to advocate for change. We will then discuss some of the facts and statistics about gifted and talented students across the nation. Educators, parents, and other community members at the forum would be reminded that our goal is to bring about a fully funded gifted and talented program, and that our purpose of the meeting is to educate stakeholders and to inform them about what they can do to support the district's goal. We would start the presentation by first addressing the myths and misconceptions. We are starting with this so that the seeds of doubt are not planted as we go throughout the presentation. If the myths and misconceptions are addressed first, parents might have some of their initial thoughts addressed so that they can go into the presentation with an open mind. The committee would first review the definition of a gifted and talented student. We would then break down what the areas of identification are so that parents can be more clearly aware of who would be considered a gifted and talented student. The committee would then detail our action plan. We will define what a stakeholder is so that parents know who would be involved in this advisory committee, which is the first step of the plan. Using the standards of a program from the 902 DOE Gifted and Talented Plan, we would discuss the different standards that our committee plans to address. The first standard is that an activity advisory committee with parent involvement must be established. We would break down the commitments for the advisory committee and that they must meet on a regular basis. There must be representatives from a wide range of backgrounds, and they will stay regularly informed. The second standard for the advisory committee is that there must be open communication as parents are continually informed about the district criteria, the program options. They are involved in the planning and the development. They are given orientation and regular updates about the program. They are made aware of products and achievements of the students through a variety of ways. Parents also need to know that they are fundamental in supplementing the curriculum with their talents and community resources as well. Parents must know that they are established as a partner to the program, business, and community, and that they are encouraged to participate in learning communities related to research and literature on gifted education so that all members of the advisory committee are as up to date as possible before making decisions. The second part of the plan is to begin to develop an identification process by having written statements of philosophy, goals, and standards so that there is clear alignment between the plan we intend to have and our goals as a district. We would discuss research-based practices approved by a local board of education. Our goal would be to align our resources of schools, staff, parents, and community through a strong identification program. The advisory committee must represent a wide range of community members. And we would remain in constant communication with our community members. The identification process, parents need to be aware that it needs to be in the least restrictive environment on a continuum over time. Identification of students who possess demonstrated achievement and/or potential ability is the goal of the identification process. We need to seek out those who come from a diverse background of cultures, races, ethnicity, language learners, disabilities, and economic circumstances. The goal of the identification process is to examine a student's range of abilities, to generate information about a student's potential, and to provide equal opportunity. There is much speculation over what evidence would be considered for identification. Our advisory committee would need to consider the most effective identification evidence. This can include school and class and individual student records. These student records can be broken down into student products, comments from peers, and opinions from professional persons. Identification can also include individual tests, group tests, interviews and questionnaires, student work samples, or student self-recommendations. The program that we develop for the gifted and talented students must meet the exemplary standards of having flexible grouping in classrooms to meet students' needs. So this can include part-time grouping, full-time grouping, or multi-age grouping. Services need to be an integral part of a regular school day. They need to promote continuous progress and interaction. And they need to balance academic, social, and emotional learning. The advisory committee must take these 4 opportunities and requirements into consideration as they begin to develop the program. Because not all stakeholders are aware of the services available for gifted and talented students, we would break down the various grouping methods so as to decide which option is best for our plan. A full-time gifted and talented program is the goal of the collaborative team, so we will spend some time focusing on the requirements of the full-time program, and that one or more classes for a minimal school day must be met. It must be composed of all students who are identified as gifted and talented. It must be appropriately differentiated from other classes in the same subject, and it must be taught by a certified gifted and talented teacher. After discussing the main goal, which is the full-time program, we would break down other grouping methods so that parents are aware of the multitude of grouping options available for their gifted and talented student. A key aspect of the program is that it must be offered instead of, not in addition to, general education programs. We must plan the gifted and talented program at the district or charter school so that it aligns directly to the Delaware regulation of 1572. This regulation discusses staffing and making sure that all staff are professionally developed in the areas of gifted and talented education. Another key aspect of developing the program is that it must be sequenced within and across grade configuration of the school, so making sure that it is not an isolated program by grade level, but that it continually aligns vertically. The program will also need service support from counselors and consultants, as well as members of the community, so it cannot just be educators who are making decisions about the program. In addition to the content that is discussed in the planning of the program, educators also need to be aware of the affective needs of gifted and talented students. As they begin to look at school choice, career and college options, they must meet with guidance counselors to discuss unique strengths. There must be ongoing services provided by teachers, principals, and counselors so that all students' needs are met for the affective domain. This would be the initial information given to parents so that they are aware that an advisory committee needs to be developed, an identification process needs to be established, and that we must work together to then meet the needs of our students. Parents would be given my contact information as I would be the resource teacher and leader of the committee. And we would then open the forum to questions that parents and community members would have.